Many of our doors and windows come with these wooden strips. These are for adding to the door or the window and making mullions, sometimes called muntins, sometimes called just window panes. And in this video, I'll show you how. The instructions are also provided in print. You can follow along. Step 1 is to paint or stain the mullion strip wood. We're going to move on from that for this demonstration. So step 2 says decide if you want 4/4, 6/6, 9/9, etc. And that's referring to the number of window panes. We're going to go with 3/3. So I have cut here a piece of paper to fit over the acrylic paint inside the wood frame, right in there. Step 4 talks about, with a ruler and pencil, draw the pattern for the mullion on the piece of paper. So we'll do that. I'm going to divide the width by half. I've taken the paper out and connected the 2 dots with a line using a straight edge. Now I'm going to measure the other dimension. And so each of these sections will be 13/16. And the instructions then tell us to place the paper pattern behind the acrylic paint to see if the pattern is to your satisfaction. Like so. 6 and 7 talk about measuring the mullion sticks and cutting and laying the sticks over the pattern and gluing the pieces together. And it also suggests using wax paper. I have here a piece of the bag that's in a cereal box. I find that that works very, very well for this purpose as well. We're going to be measuring and cutting pieces that are horizontal as well as pieces that are vertical. And I like to make the horizontal the longest and then cut shorter pieces for the vertical. And the reason for this is that I'm using gravity in my favor. The alternative would be to make vertical long piece and the horizontal the shorter piece. Disadvantage of that is that gravity is not working in your favor. I need 2 horizontal pieces. I'm going to mark, and I always measure twice, cut once, and measure just maybe a little bit long. You can always trim off any excess for a perfect fit, but you can't add. Use a sharp blade for a clean cut. I put a spot of paste on the paper and then laid the wax paper over the top so the 2 of them move around together. And now for adding vertical. Yes, all this can be very, very carefully measured, but also is possible to visually estimate as well. So this vertical is going to butt up against the horizontal right there. And mark. Now for gluing. I'm using Well Bond, a very good general adhesive which dries clear. And let's attach the pieces. Using the pattern as a guide. There we go. Here's for gluing this upper portion. Spot of glue. While these are drying, I'm going to clean them up just a little bit. I don't like that glue in there. Now for the middle, you can measure indirectly with a measuring tape or directly by marking. I've cut my middle vertical. And place it in between. Line it up on the pattern. And while I have not glued the wood to the wax paper, at the joint it is sticking a little bit, which is helpful, so that the whole assembly stays in place while it dries. The glue has been drying for several hours now, and I'm going to remove the assembly from the wax paper very gently. There we are. And typically such a grid would be mounted on the back side of a door. So a door typically opens into a room, which would then make this side the back. And so the grid would be installed in here. I'm a little bit long on some dimensions here and just a little bit at the top. So I will go ahead and shorten that. So I progressively cut off length on these two horizontal pieces. And you can see here the little shards that I cut off until it was short enough to fit in tightly, because it's the tension, it's the tight fit that holds it in place. Now I can take off the paper, and there we are.